Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Prep Life Podcast. This is your founder and CEO of Glam Girl Bikini, Amy Anger. And today I'm joined by my fabulous co host, Lee Marie Jones. Hey, Lee. How's it going?
Hello. Great. Happy Thanksgiving week.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving week to you and all of our listeners. So, I got a couple of questions from the past weekend just about Masters USAs, and I'm still here in the lovely Las Vegas. So, I wanted to talk about that, but I also wanted to also just kind of touch on holidays and how like we navigate through that, especially when you've done this show in the past, like you did last year. So you kind of know like with Thanksgiving coming up and um you've done the Ben Weeder too, where it's like Thanksgiving's right after. So I think it's a good thing because a lot of people around this time if you are competing, and then it can be, especially your first timer, and you're hit with like Thanksgiving and then Christmas and then New Year's, and when you're super hungry and you're trying to reverse and your hormones are kind of out of whack. So I think all of the things we'll try to cover here in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
uh, so shall we start with just how the show went and all that?
Yeah, give us your recap. So you're still in Vegas and it's Tuesday and the
Yes.
show was Saturday
Yeah.
or Friday?
Yes, Friday. It
That
was
Friday.
Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've had a few days
So
to process.
yeah, give me a couple days to process for sure. Yeah, I just this show has never been in Vegas. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, might as well make a little trip of it. So I'm definitely heading to Colorado to spend time with my family very soon. But yeah, I thought I'd also enjoy the city as well. So yeah, the placements were in my 45 class D, I got third, and then in my 40 class for fit model, I got, and it was class D, I got fifth. So,
Is that your best placing yet?
no, no,
Oh,
I've gotten second at nationals
okay.
before, or like pro qualifiers, like in
I mean, as a
Rome.
fit model?
Oh, yeah, as fit model. No,
Yeah.
that was, yeah, that was my best placing as fit
I
model.
thought
Yeah, you're
I
right.
thought so.
Yeah, I don't even think
I
about that.
know.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
right. So yeah, the so I moved up from like I moved up one spot in each. So my last show at North Americans, I was fourth at in the 45, and then I moved up to third, and then I was sixth in the 40, and so I moved up to fifth.
Mhm.
But yeah, in
Okay.
fit model for sure. It was definitely the biggest amount of fit models that I've seen at a national show for fit model in the masters categories. So even at, like obviously at masters nationals, they didn't even have enough for my class in 45. They only had two
Mm.
people, so they dropped it. But I saw those numbers kind of double at North Americans. And I know the open class was way bigger than the masters, but like from a master's perspective, this was definitely, I wasn't at Universe, so I don't know what those numbers were, but this one at Masters USA's was definitely the biggest turnout of fit models for Masters competitors that I've seen thus far. Um,
Interesting.
and this was the first time they had 50 plus compete at all in fit model.
Mhm.
So I got to see a bunch of those athletes. Actually, Amy Thomas from Overland Park, who went to our posing seminar, she won the
Mhm.
overall in 50. She won her A class, and then she went up against the B and the C class and won the 50 overall. But unfortunately, the 50, for whatever reason, they didn't give a pro card at Masters USA's. So, but she won her 45 class as well. And she went up against, but the class winner of my class won two pro cards. So she won the class winner of D, got a pro card in 45, and then she won the overall in the 40 as well. So she got two out of the three fit model pro cards that were awarded. So she didn't do the 35, unfortunately for that person.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was really good.
It's
So
interesting that they don't give the card to second place if somebody's already won it.
it used to trickle down, but recently they've gotten rid of that. I think with so Tyler's trying to make the standards for a pro to be like to maintain the integrity, which is why he dropped my 45
Mhm.
D category because there weren't five people. And
Mhm.
so that rule and the trickle down rule no longer exists because one of my friends, Lacey Green, got her pro card getting second at Masters Nationals because she had, like the girl that had won like the 45 or whatever also won the 40. So
Hmm.
it deferred to her. So they don't no longer do that. But
That's
um,
interesting.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that was kind of, I mean, the winner of the overall from the Kansas City show was the class winner of B. So we had two Kansas City representatives in the
Mhm.
overall. And then it was funny because at Masters, or I'm sorry, at North Americans, I kind of like was hanging around Megan like the entire weekend, and she was the only one that won the pro card. And then um, Lindsay Black, she's a huge podcast listener. So she came up to me at check-in and said, "Hey, I listened to your podcast. It's got me through so much cardio." And we kind of like realized we were in the same class in height class, and we were standing right next to each other. And I'm like, I must be like good luck or something. I don't know. Because she ended up winning the 45, just like my friend Megan. And we were kind of like hanging out backstage. But
Shout out. Thanks for
yeah,
listening.
so thank you for listening, Lindsay, and congratulations on both your pro cards. But
I
yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
So
So, and
little.
then what I was going to say is Laura from the Kansas City show, the one that went against Beth, my client
Hmm.
at the Kansas City show, she won the overall infant model
Hmm.
at Kansas
Hmm.
City. She ended up winning the B class of 45.
Wow.
So her and Amy, both Kansas City people, were up against Lindsay. I didn't know who the C person was, but I just thought it
Okay.
was, different.
That's very cool. Kansas
Yeah.
City's where it's happening, guys. Come to
Yeah.
shows. We got them here.
That's right.
And we have
Yeah,
coaching seminars too. So,
absolutely. Yeah, so it was cool because Sandy was there and she went backstage first thing at the beginning of finals and just talked to everybody. And I mean, I got my feedback before I even knew what my placements were,
mhm.
which was different. And again, I was standing in line with Lindsay, and if you look at her photos, basically the feedback for her was don't change a thing. You perfectly fit the
Mhm.
fit model criteria. So that's what Sandy told her. And then I got feedback. I got feedback that I was way too lean. Um,
Really?
she was like, "You are way too lean for fit model," which is crazy because I lost 11 pounds because at North Americans, that wasn't that long ago, like
Right.
3 months ago, I was way too soft. Like that was my feedback
Yeah.
from Bill. Like
Yep.
everything was like way too much body fat, all these things. So I'm interested to talk with Sandy, and this will be a teaser for our next one. But she's like literally pulling up she's so nice. She's like, we're gonna do a phone call this week. She's like, I'm gonna call you. So I was like, okay, because when she told me I was too lean, I was like, this is like confusing to me because like all of my feedback has been to like lose body fat. And she was like, who told you that? And I was like, well, kind of you did. And she's like, I did. I'm like, yeah, you told me at Masters Nationals to tighten up in my glutes. And then I said, and Bill gave me the feedback at Tampa and at North Americans, the same thing. And she was like, well, I'm gonna pull up all your pictures.
Hmm.
She's like, I'm gonna get some second opinions. I'm gonna give you a phone call. So we have a phone call actually after this podcast. So
Hmm.
that's our teaser for I want to kind of like recap that because I feel
Yeah.
like she's gonna because it was very confusing. Like it's just,
Hmm.
when you're trying to figure this whole division out
Hmm.
and like where you fit and things, I just think it's yeah, it's like you hear one thing and then you change it. And then Melanie Goff, who was too lean for bikini at North Americans, like she moved up ahead because she softened way up. She gained 8 pounds. And so she ended up placing second in my 45. And so we like switched
Hmm.
roles. um, so it's kind of the wild, wild west with the model. I think,
Yeah.
it's hard to like pinpoint, but if you want to know exactly what it looks like as a 45-year-old, look at Lindsay Black's photos. And you can kind of use her as an example because out of everybody's feedback that I heard from Sandy, hers was the only one that was like, you're absolutely perfect. You perfectly fit the criteria. You are what we were
Hmm.
looking for in fit model. So
Love it. Yeah, that'll be really interesting to hear what Sandy says because I mean, I feel like yes, the fit model division is new and we're trying to figure it out, but bikinis kind of like that too. And you hear that a lot even with the pros about getting confused with at this show I was told this, at this show I was told this, and it's like Is it different judges? Is it different lighting? Is it a different stage? Is it a different group of people? Or did you just overshoot and you got to pull it back just a little tiny bit? I mean, that's bodybuilding, tiny
Yeah.
little tweaks. Maybe
Yeah.
they told you to get leaner and they meant 6 pounds and you were like, oh, I'll go 11. It's like these tiny little things, but that'll be really interesting to hear. I'm excited.
Yeah. So definitely trying some new things this week. Yeah, I'm eating a lot of carbs. So we're gonna
Okay,
see
so
like
speaking of carbs, that perfectly segues into our topic. And I know you're like the queen of secret shows, but are you in a reverse diet now, or are you gonna keep competing?
well, I'm
Meal
I'm
prep?
technically in a reverse diet because I'm
Well,
eating
you gotta
all
put
these carbs. Yeah, like I have to really I have to soften up my look. But
okay.
my coach and I decided that we're gonna just there's nothing like on the line for a pro card or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like so just to give you that, but like I want to see what like a little bit softer would look like if
Mm-hmm.
so we're trying to fill me out and like we're gonna run it once before shutting it down. Like I'm not doing anything for a pro card or
Right. Okay.
anything like
Okay.
that, but um there is one more thing that I'm gonna do. The work's not done, so I want to see what these carbs, this 250 grams of carbs every day,
Love
does
it.
to my body to kind of like
Yeah.
just hit that sweet spot between the two lean too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to
So, what are those carbs going to be on Thanksgiving?
yeah, so I have a lot of sweet potatoes prepped. I've been using
Nice.
a lot of honey.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I have to kind of stay on plan. So, but
Mm-hmm.
those of us that are not staying on plan, let's talk about that.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
or like those that are just, maybe finishing a show or maybe they're deep into improvement season. What did you do last year? Where were you at? Like, let's just talk about
Mm,
'cause you did your fall shows. I can't
yeah.
remember. It was the Masters USA was in December last year. It got moved up this year, I think. Or maybe
I
it was
think it was still in November because I've never done a show after the holidays. I have always ended
okay.
before Thanksgiving, but I think it was the same situation here where I got home and like 3 days later was Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So yeah, and then Ben Weeder is usually like the week before. Um,
Okay. So this year it was on the same day. So
okay.
both were on Friday, the 21st,
Okay.
because Paul was at Ben
Ben.
Weeder and
Mhm.
my friend Amy, who I competed with at Tampa and at I forget where else, but anyway, Amy's so sweet. She just got her pro card in 35 at the Ben Weeder. She won the overall for the 35. So those were happening simultaneously
Mhm. That's
this
really
year.
good. The 35 at Ben Weeder was really competitive last year. I didn't
Yeah.
even get first call outs.
Yeah, it looked really big even for just fit model, but I don't
Mhm.
know. I didn't really look into I need to look at those pictures because I just saw that Amy won her pro card, so I was excited for
Yeah.
her. But yeah, I think yours went Ben Weeder and then Masters USA. So
Mhm.
then
And
you
then
had Thanksgiving. So what
yeah.
was your
So I
strategy?
I think there's like three levels we could talk about. I think
Okay.
there's like your level where you're still technically in prep, even though you're eating more, you're like in a reverse. And
Yeah.
so it would be cool to talk about if someone is still technically in prep over the holidays, how to make it a little bit less embarrassing or awkward bringing your Tupperwares.
Yes.
And then there's like where
Okay.
I was, where I am in the reverse, but I literally just competed. And then I
Uh-huh.
think there's your competitor that is, either kind of just starting prep or in their off season. And so it's kind of like, how do we navigate the holidays and make healthy choices that don't derail our progress completely? Kind of, does that
Yes.
make sense? So for me,
Totally.
I I feel like my situation is just so it's so understanding and like helpful. Like my family is just so understanding of me and prep. They will go out of their way to like my mom will make like turkey that doesn't have like butter on it for me, or she'll make like a separate thing that doesn't have this or that in it. And so
It's
it's
nice.
easy. Yeah, it's so nice. Like I will even one year I remember I was either like in prep or just coming out of prep or whatever. And stuffing is like my favorite thing, the dressing.
Okay.
And so I took all the herbs and spices that you use for stuffing and I put them
Mhm.
on like cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, onions, and all that. And
Okay.
then roasted them in the oven till they were like
Oh,
crispy and made these roasted vegetables. And they were so good. And they totally like solved my or like helped my stuffing craving. and everyone likes
Yeah.
them so much now I have to make them every year. So like
Oh
just
my
things like
gosh.
that of like getting creative. For me,
Yeah.
it was really easy. I think for me,
Okay.
the biggest thing was just not overeating. It's not like what I eat, it's the amount because my calories were always pretty low. And so I never had like the privilege of being on 250 carbs. So I think just the biggest thing is just to keep in mind like volume eating still, fill up with vegetables. Turkey, it can be a really good lean source of protein. Is if you want to bring a dish, do something like roasted vegetables or bring like a fall salad or something like that. I think those tips
Yeah.
really helped. Then also not doing any liquid calories and not doing any desserts. Both those
Yeah.
things really helped me. I'm a coffee girly, so having like a nice coffee with, like my stevia, maybe some almond milk or a little latte afterwards, maybe some cinnamon or ginger or something to make it like holiday-ish helps with that. But those two things I think were really big with me. And then just being able to get right back on plan and not make it like a whole night of snacking and stuff like that would be
Yeah.
kind of for my like middle of the road journey. That was what was helpful for me.
Yeah. My family is not as understanding. My
Like
brother is
most are.
hosting my brother's hosting Thanksgiving, and he usually he's a little bougie. He lives downtown Denver. He usually caters like Whole Foods. So it's like healthy
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But then my aunt, she brought last year, I remember she brought like every single kind of pie, like
Mm-hmm.
multiple pies, so
Mm-hmm.
many. And we didn't have that many people there. And it was like so many pies and ice cream and stuff like that. So I definitely I'll get some crap from my brother, first of all. He'll be like, "You're not like not eating with us, are you, Amy?" Like I know
Mm-hmm.
he'll say something because
Mm-hmm.
he always does.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna be very like discreet about what I do. I mean, most of the stuff, like honestly, like I've been going to restaurants like in Vegas and like I'm sure there's like even if I get grilled chicken, I'm sure it has oil on it. I've just
Mm-hmm.
been like taking the attitude that I have a little bit of wiggle room, obviously, because I was a little
Mm-hmm.
too lean anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to like make my best decisions, hit my macros, and like not be too crazy about stuff. So I think that's like I'm just gonna go in. I think the less you make it like a big deal, the less other people do. So I'm just not gonna focus on that. I'm gonna focus on playing with my little nieces and like spending time with my nieces and nephews, um, and my family and enjoying them and just trying to like you know pick what I want, but not like bring attention to it. Um, and just not even like make it a deal like they would even know that I'm doing it. It's like I'll be like more under the radar. So yes, I'll probably get some food pushing at some point, but I'm gonna try my best to just like make it seem like low key, like
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be things from Whole Foods that I can pick. Like, I mean, Thanksgiving, honestly, like between potatoes and like green beans, vegetables, like you were saying, like all the fall festival stuff, like sweet potatoes, as long as you're not putting marshmallows on them and brown sugar and
Mm-hmm.
um, things like that. I think those are big. And then for me, just like sugar in general just triggers me. And so I've been off sugar this whole year, and that's made a big difference in my life, like just in general, like
Mm-hmm.
for the choices that I've made, because I realize like what sugar does to me. And it's a personal choice. Like you don't have to give up sugar, like refined
Mm-hmm.
sugars and things like that. I mean, you can fit it in your macros, but for
Mm-hmm.
me, like it just triggers my cravings and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it just sends me down a slippery slope where I can get my fill of donuts, Pop Tarts, sweet rolls through Legendary Foods, and I can get my ice cream through my Ninja Creamy. So for me, like those are things that I still enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they feel like I'm having those things, but I don't have that like slippery slope and that like
Mm-hmm.
downward spiral where I like overeat because of the sugar and what it does to me. So
So, do you have any like one-liners that are your go-tos for food pushers or to make a little less awkward of a situation if someone like let's say you have someone that's on their reverse and they're like, I can bring my Tupperware meal. I don't mind. But how do I
Yeah.
explain that?
Yeah. And I think like my brother, he'll just be like, when are you gonna eat like normal? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
like his phrase, or like when are you gonna like just relax and like eat like a normal person? And I mean, there's no real good answer to say to that. I mean, I just usually say, I eat this way because it makes me feel really good energy. And, having this, flexibility to be able to like eat what I want that makes me feel good, that's where I need to be right now. And my body's really sensitive. Um, like he knows that I just got off of a show, and I don't think everybody understands the level of like sensitivity for your body, but I think, I just want to like those are some things that I say. Like it's not there's nothing like I don't have like a one liner. Probably that's not really a good answer, but I mean, I just try to like make as less of a deal of it as possible and try to like because I also have like nieces that are teenagers and my daughter that's a teenager and they're listening. So for me, I just, like I just want to make my choices that make me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be like my main thing.
Have you ever have you ever told like a little white lie and said, I mean, this would be maybe even more at a restaurant, like a hack, but like said, like I have a food intolerance to this just to make sure they don't put it in.
I actually did that with my brother when he came to Kansas City. He and my sister-in-law. I mean, I kind of do have an aversion to garlic.
Okay.
But like I noticed that it was garlic butter, and I just said, I have a food aversion to garlic.
Mm-hmm.
So can you make sure that there's not any like oil or like butter with garlic, that it's just grilled or steamed? I think it was like some sort of meat or like vegetable. Um, and they were just like, "Oh yeah, I didn't know you had that." And I'm like, "Yeah, it really upsets my stomach when I have garlic, which it does, but it was to the point where I was trying to do it so that they wouldn't put butter on it, basically, too."
Well, I was even
So
thinking about your example with sugars because, like, I think it's important to differentiate too, especially if people are new to prep, that, like, when we say we're not having sugar, it doesn't necessarily mean we're not eating sweets. Like, we
yeah,
love our monk fruit sweetener and our stevia and our, legendary treats,
yeah,
ninja creamies and stuff. So we still can enjoy like sweet things, but it's just like, using that excuse, maybe sugar actually doesn't really agree with my gut, or it really triggers, my food cravings. And so I'm trying to stay away from it. I think stuff like that really make it more personal to you and almost take off the pressure because it's something like you maybe can't control. It's like when somebody says, well, I have type 2 diabetes, I have to watch. Immediately everyone understands because it's
yes,
not something that they feel embarrassed that they're going to eat and you're just more disciplined than them. It's like,
yeah,
oh, of course, you have to honor your body in that way. And we're really actually doing the same thing, especially if we're right after a show. We really have to honor our bodies in that point because we're very susceptible to cravings and hunger and all these things.
yeah,
And then our guts might be not used to eating certain foods. So if you can frame it in a way that kind of gives that as an excuse, I
yeah,
think that really helps with food pushing because it takes pressure off the
yeah,
person trying to push it on you too.
yeah. And I think too, another way, like if you use it as your identity, like this year I'm off sugar, or
Mm-hmm,
I gave up sugar this year, like
mm-hmm,
then it's just like done. Like,
mm-hmm,
okay, you like people give that up for Lent, or whatever. Like there can be certain things, or like I'm off alcohol this year. Like that shuts it down right away because then they're like, oh, okay, and then you don't have to like really explain anything. But like if you say, I'm trying to quit drinking, or like I'm trying to cut back on, then it's like, it kind of like you're not being as strong of mind and like using that as an identity. And then it kind of like, I feel like it kind of somehow projects to other people that you're not like really sure either. And so there's some ambiguity there. So I
mm-hmm.
think that if you're just like, oh, this year I gave up sugar, or this year I gave up alcohol, like you can just do that. And I think people will respect that.
Yes, absolutely. So then, like the third category of person, let's say you have someone that like either a lifestyle client. I was just going over this with my lifestyle clients, how to navigate the holidays and not like derail progress. So even let's say somebody that's in the improvement season right now, but they still have their training and their macros that they need to hit and stuff. So let's say their coach gives them a free meal, an untracked meal for
Yeah.
Thanksgiving or an untracked day or whatever they get. What would your tips be to structure that in a way that, keeps the boundaries, helps them to enjoy things, but maybe like then they can get right back on track if that's like a struggle with people in the holidays? Because I think with a lot of people, you go from Thanksgiving to January 2nd and it's one big free for all, and then it's like trying
Mm,
to get back on track feels like trying to start from a dead stop on a bike at the bottom of a hill. If that makes sense.
yeah. 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 I think with lifestyle, it's one of those things that you can give them like guidelines in terms of staying well hydrated throughout the
Mm-hmm.
day, having, tons of like majority of your protein covered before you get to that meal, or like having a lot of fiber in your diet, making sure you're eating regular meals like with vegetables and volume, and just like tips like staying away from like the dessert table, having something in your hand like a sparkling water, um, keeping your hands busy. So whether it's doing like a craft or something, or like playing with like the little kids, like that's what I always do. I just like immerse myself in like playing make believe with them, and like I just love little kids. So
Mm-hmm.
it distracts me, and then it helps the parents, and then they're the ones like grazing and drinking and like eating the crap, and I'm just having fun playing with the kids. um I think that, just like trying to come up with activities like, there was one year that I was prepping for a show in Italy, and I think it was like through Thanksgiving, and I just did a puzzle. Last year at Christmas, I had a puzzle. So instead of like going over to like the appetizer like station or whatever and like grazing and chatting and talking, I'd be like, hey, let's go play puzzle. Let's go work on this puzzle. And so we'd like, you know, be moving our hands. I think just keeping yourself active in some ways like that, or you know incorporating walks and like active things. I think just trying to put as many layers and barriers in place of just that overeating and overindulging, and doing things within reason, because it's also stressful if you're trying to just like not eat that meal, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's not going to kill you. Like if you have a plate of food, one plate is not going to kill your
Mm-hmm.
progress. Like,
Exactly.
I mean, I was telling my clients that, have just competed, that are facing Thanksgiving, and they're in the improvement season coming in, but they're like fresh on their reverse. And I was like, eat most of your meals and like just use that last one to like eat your portions of things, and try to stay away from sugar is the main thing I said. And, like most part, Thanksgiving is pretty healthy. Like you can make healthy choices, especially if you, like you said, you're cooking or you're bringing your own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I know
I
we're short on time. Do you want to end it there?
Sure. Yeah. No, I love those tips. I think those are really great tips for all the different levels of prep and improvement season. So I think that's good. But if you guys have any tips or recipes that you've made on prep for friendly holidays, let us know. I would love to do like a prep friendly holiday episode. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah, I did have a request while I was waiting in line. Somebody asked us to do our fitness gifts for 2025, like the top like fitness people gifts. So that was one request as well.
Love it.
So yeah, let us know if that's something that you would be interested in hearing. And you can always tag us on your story and follow us on Instagram at Glam Girl Bikini or at Prep Life Podcast. And you can apply for coaching with Lee Marie or myself at glamgirlbikini.com by hitting the get started button. Thanks for listening, guys.